Hi, my name is Joel Wilson. I'm a professor of English at Kaiser University. I'm also an adjunct with the Community College of Allegheny County and a faculty consultant with Macmillan. Given the challenges that we're all facing right now with the ongoing coronavirus epidemic, as well as school closures, I wanted to talk just a couple minutes about how we can maintain ongoing communication with our students. The first thing we want to talk about is discussion boards, and many of you probably already use discussions. So how do we use discussions? Well, one way is to really require engagement. Now, many times what ends up happening is a student posts his or her main post, they post two replies, and then they never go back to the discussion again. They never look at it. They never look at who commented on their thread or whether others commented on their replies. So I like to require engagement. So for instance, I tell students they have to manage their thread. They have to go in and respond to some of the people who responded to them. And you can see that taking place right here. I also like to get them to think outside the text in the discussion boards. So one of our colleagues at Pima Community College offers some ideas for using discussions in a non-traditional way, such as role playing, or she also suggests creating expeditions or web quests to guide students through activities, or even some kind of group storytelling where students take on roles. I like integrating students' personal experiences through sharing of pictures or video, whether that be personal or whether that be other, that's up to you, of course. Another way to maintain ongoing communication besides discussion is to literally pick up the phone. Now, we can call, we can text, we can also use Google Voice. It's important to check when students' last access was. Again, every learning management system, Blackboard, Brightspace, and others, offer some sort of information about when students accessed last. And if we see a student who hasn't logged in regularly or hasn't accessed the course regularly, perhaps it's best to reach out to them. Here's a view from Brightspace. We can see the amount of logins and we can see the grades. Generally, grades correspond to the number of logins. So it's important for us to regularly check on our students logging in the course. We might then in Brightspace, for instance, go to the login history and see when a student logged in last. And if he hasn't or she hasn't logged in recently, we can give them a phone call, a text. You can look that up. Of course, check your institution's policy on this, but I suspect most institutions will be very flexible about you reaching out to a student in order to help that student. We also have the Google Voice option, which allows you to mask your phone number so that students won't have your personal phone number when you call or contact them. Another area for maintaining ongoing communication is to use something like Google Drive. Many institutions use Google as their email server, and therefore everybody has access to Google Drive through their institutional email. But even if you don't, you can regularly access it. Google Drive allows students to comment and to create an ongoing discussion. This is great for drafting essays, as you can comment at any time, not just when the essay has actually been finally turned in or the draft has been finally turned in. Here's me having an ongoing conversation in a professional development with one of my colleagues. Finally, we might also look at notebooks and Teams, as well as a third outside software that we're going to talk about in just a moment. So Microsoft Teams offers class notebooks. These sometimes can be more adaptable than clunky learning management systems. This allows us to create individual classes and to be able to directly contact students through Microsoft Teams. Again, this is very useful if you have an Office 365 account through your institution. Of course, always check with your institution and see what the policies are for using these sorts of softwares. The last piece I want to talk about was a program called Remind. This is an app that I like to use very much. I always begin my class using Remind and setting this up as a way of contacting students throughout the semester, and it's proved even more advantageous right now. Remind allows you to build a class, and you can send out a message, which then comes to their phone as a text message. You don't have their phone number and they don't have yours, and you can communicate through Remind even without having each other's phone numbers. This is a great way to share announcements or to let students reach out to you on the spot. Of course, it'll come to your phone as a text message, so it's important to ask yourself whether that's something you would want or whether you prefer traditional email. You can also build a class list. I would recommend asking students if they would like to be on your remind list first before you add them manually. Or you can have them sign up themselves. Here's a PDF that I post in my class in order for them to join my CCAC English class. And then I can email the link out as well. These are all tools to help us maintain ongoing communication with our students, which for many of us will be the challenge. We don't want students to slip through the cracks in the next few weeks or the next month, especially for those who are more familiar and more comfortable with in-person classes. We want to support them, and we're all trying our best in order to do that. We want to thank Macmillan for offering this webinar, and please continue to reach out to your students and build contact and maintain that kind of communication in any way you can.